I cannot take the stupidity anymore. I feel like I need to make this video because there are so many stupid assholes on so many wrestling sites that do not get it. They don't get why WWE doesn't capitalize off of the Divas division. I have many different people from Bleacher Report argue with me, and there is a writer named Sharon Linkras who writes the most ridiculous articles known to man. She needs to be fired, and who the fuck knows why she was hired in the first place. When I read her articles I feel like ramming my head into some fucking drywall because of how unresourceful and shallow she is. There are many people that can do her job better. Then you got some lady on YouTube recording a 25-minute clusterfuck of a video of her just whining pretty much the same thing. And she doesn't get it either, nobody does. These assholes are wasting their time and energy crying and bitching about things that hardly ever happen. Like all the people on Bleacher Report think that WWE are going to release all the women wrestlers just because they don't happen to see a Divas match on Raw, or because they'll no longer sign actual wrestlers because of some retarded rumor. These people are just so ignorant and difficult to reason with, and I do not regret what I'm saying because I am speaking my mind. I don't care that I'm not being nice, because I tried being nice and being nice didn't work. With all that said, let me explain to you exactly why you don't find much capitalization from the Divas. It's simply because they don't draw. Nobody in the audience cares to cheer for them, they lose ratings, and WWE doesn't see any way to make money off of them because fans are just fucking pricks to them. I feel sorry for WWE in this regard. When they try to push these women, the fans don't appreciate how hard they try. But the internet fans see right through this, so they bitch. And bitch. And bitch. And blame WWE for things in which the fans are to blame. Sure, WWE can simply give them the focus and the attention on Raw, but they are just going to lose big ratings, kill the mood in the crowds, and it will just look like a disaster on TV. There's no real fan base for the Divas in order for WWE to show them to you on a regular basis. That's why you don't see any Divas merchandise, and that's because nobody is going to buy it. In TNA, you have the Knockouts division that draws big numbers for their show, so they aren't worried about losing ratings, and it doesn't matter how good or bad looking is because they know there are very many people who tune in just to watch them. You don't see a similar fan base for WWE. And it's sad, because it's what needs to happen before anything else can be done with them. Let me read you a blog I wrote last week. I think it's very good and covers a lot of ground. Here it goes. Do people finally understand that WWE is a company desperate for consumers' money and attention? That they are only going to give opportunities to stars with interest, and how the Divas are not of any interest to the consumer? WrestleMania is nigh and RAW is pulling off the best ratings possible. That means showing mostly segments that will certainly keep viewers and keep them entertained. The Divas simply don't draw. You have John Cena, CM Punk, Randy Orton, and Sheamus, whom fans primarily come to the shows to see. Team Hell No have had one of the most entertaining angles of the year. Jack Swagger would probably be out of a job by now if it weren't for the attention he and Zeb Coulter received in the political news world, so they receive far more attention on RAW now. Ryback and The Shield are dark horses to the product, and not to mention you have The Rock, the person to thank for ratings on the rise and expansion in fan base. When was the last time people invest in the product for a female wrestler? Why can't a woman, without the help from Cena or Punk or Bryan, by the way, get over? You have seen guys who have earned the right to be in RAW spotlight every week. Bryan, Cesaro, Sando, Ziggler, and Clay, believe it or not, are just a few examples of how their momentum rises due to fan reaction. AJ has been over, but that's because of her involvement outside the ring rather than in it. Now here are many guys in recent history that have failed to appeal to the consumer. Bo Dallas. He gone from burying the IC champion to pure non-existence. Tensei. Wasn't he going to feud with Cena and Punk last summer? Sin Cara. Wasn't he tag teaming with Cena around his debut? David Otunga and Michael McGillicuddy. Yeah, real villains they were. Ezekiel Jackson and Mason Ryan. We sure enjoyed their pushes, we did. Jinder Mahal. Yeah, he was so important, that's why he is in 3MB now and not even they matter anymore. This is the rule and it applies to everybody. If people cheer for certain wrestlers, they featured more. If nobody reacts to them, they are left off the show. In case people have forgotten a certain promo, listen and learn about how people rise and fall in the company. Numerous ignorant fans have gone to argue with me that, in order for fans to cheer for the Divas, they need more focus, longer matches, and more storylines. That is inexplicable and illogical. That would mean that the fans don't cheer for the people they like but just cheer for when they're booked better. I doubt that fans take it into regard because they're fans. Fans won't help somebody like Bo Dallas get over if he is just continuously shoved down our throats. That only hurts the product even more. This is how it's been for years with the Divas. No matter if it was a real fight like Beth vs. Gail Kim or a powder-puff affair between Kelly and Layla, the fans never showed any support. They never expressed that they wanted to see more. How does utter silence from the audience mean that they want to see more? To the members of the ignorant whining children, please elaborate. The fans don't come to analyze creative storytelling, they come to enjoy the show. People go to the events to get entertained. They cheer for the good guys and boo the bad guys, and if that happens, WWE knows they're making positive choices and they know they're booking a program good enough for TV. If they get no reaction, that means the fans are not interested. But don't think WWE hasn't tried to make compelling storylines for the women. Over the past few months you had storylines for divas such as Kaitlyn and AJ, and they both crashed and burned due to the monotonous lack of interest and appreciation from the consumer. They tried to make Kaitlyn a hit. They did everything they could to make her the new face of the division. They made her the subject of a whodunit storyline, put her in a long-grueling feud with Eve, gave her a total makeover, Edge's finisher, tried to make her title win as important as they could on the 20th anniversary in her hometown. With all that, fans still don't show that she matters whatsoever. All that effort to build her is just gone, and it's all because the audiences have no taste for it. How can you blame creative or WWE in this regard? What have they done wrong here? What more is it going to take? Unfortunately, Kaitlyn is a failure. I don't want to admit that to a girl that has improved greatly in a couple of years. Here the WWE had a great opportunity to make changes and humble beginnings with this girl, only for fans to continue to neglect her. And people have been saying, oh, things are going to change when Kaitlyn wins the title. She is the answer to the Divas division. Kaitlyn is now teasing a relationship with Cody Rhodes, the man who got a new t-shirt all because of how over his stupid little facial hair is. It's no problem to me now if that is what it would take. Another example is the AJ/Vicky Guerrero feud. You had this very popular woman who is the GM of RAW against a whining fat gorilla who has been shattering eardrums for the past 7 years. WWE thought fans just couldn't wait for the hero AJ to finally kick the shit out of Vicky after weeks of abuse. The fans didn't want to see how that played out, so it didn't play out, and instead AJ turned heel and is Frenching it up with Dolph Ziggler. Yeah, way to go, fans, way to show how much you want to see women wrestle. In an offshoot to WWE, you have a developmental show known as NXT. There is a big amount of focus to a female character on the show. That would be Paige. Paige is the most over diva in the company, and that is a terrible thing to admit. But keep in mind that Paige actually has appeal and draws tremendous interest. This is why she is getting such focus and attention on her. She is why people watch the shows online and why people come to the events. There is no diva on the main roster who can draw a fraction of what she can, and it's important that they need to in order to compete in more televised events. If 500 people in a college can cheer for a woman, why can't 15,000 people in a stadium cheer for a woman? So Paige is now being what I call a catalyst in NXT. She will serve the purpose to help the other women on that show get over so they can be ready too when it's their turn to get called up. It starts with her and Summer Rae. Without Paige, Summer would probably still be a ring announcer. Overall, the Divas division is in no real danger. They still sign new talent, and most of the Divas should be content with the exposure and wages they receive. They still are needed on tour all year round, and they still get to compete far more often overall than the costs in TNA, and many of them can even afford their own homes thanks to WWE. Complaining about how a certain woman isn't on RAW is like complaining about how Brock Osweiler is back up to Peyton Manning. So how does WWE fix this problem? The problem that the Divas lack serious interest from the audience. WWE won't just give them more focus or the show will tank in ratings, and they can't just find a way for fans to magically care. I keep reading comments from several critics about how they should sign actual indie wrestlers, but that's not the problem. Sure, they can sign a talented wrestler, but who's to say fans are going to like her? They didn't like Kaitlyn. They don't like Tamina, or at least they show they don't. And even if Sarah Del Rey debuts next week, chances are she's going to be as big of a flop as they were. Naomi has just begun to wrestle on WWE programming, and she has been getting decent reactions from the crowds. That is good. It will take time for her to mature and to work her way up to the title, but as long as there are fans to support her, it will be a much smoother and faster journey for her. She is like Kaitlyn in the ring, only that Naomi is 10 years younger, doesn't have an attitude problem, and actually shows energy and personality in the ring. I know that people are upset she is stuck with Clay, but she needs Clay. Without him, she would have no direction or character to build around. Paige is the company's long-term solution. She is young and has a lot of time ahead of her, but she's still not old enough to compete on TV yet. I say that she will be ready about 6 months after she turns 21. In that time, she can legitimize more women in NXT so they can be ready for the main roster too. However, she herself may need to start from the bottom up, for just because she is young and good at wrestling doesn't guarantee her to be the next Trish Stratus. She would have to prove that she deserves the people's attention, but I wouldn't worry about that. For now, she just needs to stay out of trouble. That's all she must do for now. It has been several months since former knockout and developmental prospect Angelina Love left TNA on her own terms. If the rumors are true, she is waiting until WWE is ready to sign former TNA talent again. I hope it happens, and I hope it happens soon. I think there is a lot that people will like about her. She is 31 years old, but it's not like she hasn't been in a similar situation in TNA, where she was one of the costs that put the division on the map. With that said, she has more likelihood of getting over on WWE programming than Paige, and she definitely has tons of experience in the ring and in front of the camera, so she is considered a short-term solution. She is more than willing and ready to lead the division and could open many doors for women for as long as she lasts, maybe 5 more years. There is even a more surefire option than Angelina, and that is re-signing Karma. Karma was one of Triple H's first signed talents. There are very many setbacks to her. She is 35 years old, is a psychological burden, and was very uncooperative during her training to return. However, she was extremely over without even competing in a match, and it had to really upset WWE that she had to be away for a long period of time. I don't know if or when she will return, but if she does, I doubt it would be for very long. Phew. So I'm sorry that you had to listen to all of that with this voice. I'm not a good talker, to be honest with you. I hate my voice and I can't think as well as others. I can write a lot better. And I hope there is much that people have learned. So I hope that some fans out there start to appreciate the product somehow, grow some balls and get their act together, because I don't want to have to put up with this kind of horseshit again.